Join me while we make a batch of IPA, India Pale Ale, a local favorite. Come on, let's get started. This is our electric brew panel here that's going to help us out and control things throughout the day. It's got all temperature control that heats up the water and the beer that goes through these 3 kettles over here. And each kettle has its job to do. This first kettle is where we hold our hot water that we're going to use throughout the brew day. The middle kettle is where we're going to do the mashing, which is steeping the grains and extracting the sugars from the barley. And then our boil kettle over here, which is going to boil it and reduce it down into the wort, which is what we use to make the beer. We have these pumps here that are circulating the water and the wort through different hoses and different kettles as we go through the process. And we're going to change them all around as we go through. But the first thing we've got to do is mill our grains. All right, so our recipe is very simple. We've got our 2-row malt, which is our base, and we've got some caramel malt here that's going to give us a little color and a little extra flavor, and then of course some hops to add later on. First, we've got to measure out 12 pounds of our 2-row. One pound is about 400 and some grams, I believe. Okay, so there's 1 pound there. 1 out of 12. Okay, we've got our 12 pounds of 2-row measured out and ready to go, and we're going to add 1 pound of Crystal 15, already measured out, going on in. Go ahead and blend that. Then we're going to mill it. And you can see it's cracking it open a little bit and exposing all the inside of that kernel. So let's go ahead and do this to the rest. And we're going to add the grains into the mash tun. I've got our strike water all ready to go, about 4.5 gallons, and it is at 152 degrees, right where we want it, the optimal temperature to extract the sugars. We'll go ahead and pour this in. Come and take a look. We don't want to do it too fast. We want to do it slow enough where it doesn't clump up. So I'm going to keep stirring it. Now we are mashing. We've got our grains in the mash tun. And if you come over and take a look, I will show you what is happening. The water is coming in here, and it's making its way down through the grain bed, extracting the sugars. It comes out this hose here, through the pump, and into a coil inside the hot water here to bring the temperature back up to 152, right where we want it, before depositing it back down on top of the grain bed. We're going to mash like that for an hour, and then on to the next step. So the mashing process is kind of like making a cup of tea. You have a tea bag and your water, and you soak it in there, and then the tea comes out, and then you have a nice drink. So same thing we're doing with mashing, except we have the malted barley, the grains, we're soaking it in water to extract the sugars, just like making tea. So we finished the mashing process, and now what we're doing is sparging, which is transferring the sugary wort, we call it, into the boil kettle. So if you come over and take a look here, you see we have clean water that's coming in that then rinses down through the grain bed and transfers into the boil kettle here. And this is our wort that once we get to about 7.5 gallons, we're going to start to boil it for about an hour and a half. So we're coming to the end of the boil. It's been boiling for about an hour and a half, and we're going to take a gravity reading and make sure it's concentrated enough. Come on over and check it out. So look inside and you can see it is boiling away. Let me take a sample. And I'll put it in my glass. Now, I will take a little piece of it. This is going to check the sugar content. Here. Close it up. Take a look. We are at 1.04. So So I'm going to remember that number, and then after fermenting, we'll be able to tell what the alcohol content is by taking another reading. So let's turn off the boil. I've got some hops here. These are hops pellets to add some bitterness and some aroma. I'm going to put those in. And we're going to start swirling it around the whirlpool, which will bring all the solids into the center. Now, if you look in here again, you will see it is spinning around. And in about 15 minutes, we're going to empty it out. Okay, so now our boil is done, our whirlpool is done, and we're transferring into the fermenter, but we have to cool it off. It went from 212 degrees, and we are cooling it down to, we want to get it about 80 with this counterflow chiller. The way that this is working is the hot wort is coming out here and going in the outside of that tube, and this ice cold water is going in the other way and cooling it off, doing a heat exchange, so that by the time it goes into here, it's gone from 212 down to 80 degrees. I can control the flow with the valve here. I want to keep it around 80 degrees, right about there. Yep, got it dialed in. And then we'll just let it empty out. So now our beer is all in the fermenter. We've put the yeast in, and it's going to sit for a couple of weeks, and that yeast is going to consume the sugar in the wort and produce the alcohol for the beer. We've got an automatic chilling system that wants us to get it down to 69 degrees. We're currently at 71.8 and dropping. It's circulating cold water through these tubes here, and it'll hold that consistent temperature, which will be optimal production for the yeast. So we'll come back in a couple of weeks, we'll keg it, we'll carbonate it, and then in another couple of weeks after that, nice glass of beer to enjoy. All right, well now here we are a month later. The beer is ready, and we're going to give it a taste. Look at that beautiful color, beautiful golden IPA. Perfectly carbonated. Oh, that's going to be delicious. Cheers. Oh, that's fantastic. Nice and citrusy, just the right amount of bitterness to it. Ice cold on a hot summer night. It turned out perfectly. I really enjoyed making this IPA and sharing it with you. Now I'm going to finish my beer.